Well, if you've clicked on this episode, then you might know what's coming. I suppose that's true for all of them. The one thing that's
Amazing
different,
start.
This is we're off to a great start. Just you wait, there's more. We have today the one, the only Ariana Grande. You might know her most famously from starring alongside me in a music video.
From the Boy Is Mine video. I played the cat.
Yeah, she played the cat.
Thank you.
Might. I don't know if you remember that part.
Yeah.
She's got a new record out. It's been out for a little bit now. Yeah. Even newer down the pipeline is Wicked. So we're talking about her whole life. But you know, we get into sadder. You're going to want to know about that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and, boy, do we. New depths of Saturn.
New depths, yeah. Please stick around. You're not going to want to miss this one. All right. Well, in addition to introducing my socks, we have with us Ariana Grande. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming.
I'm
Welcome.
so excited. I'm honored and excited.
We're so excited.
We're just going to dive right in. We typically start around 12. Mm-hmm. From what I understand, you had... Now, this may or may not be true. We'll know if our research... Is it?
I'm scared.
Okay.
Wait. Before we actually dive right in, I do think we have to address how different this episode is.
No, it's
from
so
all
different.
of our other episodes.
I've seen
In
them.
what
and
way?
I'm
I'm
like,
not sure
where
what
are
you're talking about. In which way?
Well, I walked in.
Is it
and
my socks?
That's it.
It is. We can see Pen's socks.
It's that.
Yeah, Ariana was like, is this a new setup for season 3?
Yeah.
Like, it's a new setup for you.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's so nice.
Well, we're doing sort of one-offs this year. You know, we just sort of like we vibe to our guests, and you warrant a
Is this
giant
my vibe?
wooden
Oh my God.
studio built in
you.
probably the 1980s or 70s.
Yeah. Wow.
When this was necessary to record music.
I'm deeply honored. It's so cool. I was like, wow, rebranding. What's going on? Like, this is so fun.
All wood, all the
Matthew
time.
Hussey is going to cry when he hears you say that, because for his episode, you had like that makeshift wardrobe where he was like, Pen, are you trapped in IKEA?
It definitely looks like a kill room. That little cottage of mine that I have not redecorated. It's a place that I typically am in for the remote interviews when we're on Zoom.
Yeah. Got it. How fun. But this is
No,
extraordinary.
but this is a much bigger kill room.
Wow, thank you. I'm glad you thought of me for this. Thank you so much. Wow. I can hear things differently. I mean, out of the headphones just sounds,
I've always loved recording studios. I absolutely love them. And I'm interested in like your relationship to that, but we'll get into that. First, is this true or false? Did you have a screen name? Jim Carrey fan 42?
That's true.
Is this just true? So,
absolutely true. Well, he was 42 at the time.
Okay.
So that's where the number came from, because Jim Carrey fan was taken. So I had to put a number, and it was 42 because that was his age. And I believe that year I should stop, but I'll tell you. I had a birthday party for him.
For him?
For him.
Was he there?
What's his birthday?
No, he couldn't make it. But
What's his birthday? Do you remember?
I actually don't remember now, but the weirdest thing, the most... What? Give me a chance. The most cosmic thing is it actually happened to be when I announced my album, Eternal Sunshine, which is obviously named after the movie. And I announced it on his birthday, coincidentally.
Wow. And you still don't remember what that date is?
No, I don't remember still. Something with a 7 in it. Something with a 7.
Ariana, who came to the Jim Carrey birthday that you hosted?
My friend Aaron Simon Gross.
Okay.
I love it.
Who's still my best friend.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Did you guys do like Jim Carrey themed things?
No, we just watched the movies, and I think my mom had like Jim Carrey themed things.
That's very cute.
Spectacular.
That's so
we had like the mask. My mom had like little like paper masks.
That's very cute.
Yeah, it was
So your mom was very
bizarre.
supportive?
Yes, she's always been very supportive of
Jim Carrey?
all of my obsessions.
sweet.
So what age was this though? Were you 12 or 10?
Well,
or?
I don't know. I think I was. Well, if he was 42, I must have been. I have no idea.
do the math?
I don't know how old
Yeah.
he is now, so I don't know.
But you had a screen name.
But yeah, that was my screen name.
like,
That's
that
right.
was-
So I was young, and it was like one of my first screen names. I
Tell
remember.
Okay.
us a
having,
little
like-
bit about you, because I feel like not many 10 or 12-year-old girls would choose that as a screen name.
Yeah.
Yes, I was always a little off. I was always a little different. No, but you remember the days when like you would have a few screen names?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was like the cool thing. And away messages and like rainbow fonts. Like certain people could change the fonts.
Right.
It was in that era. It was like that, those days.
Yeah.
That was, that's where we're starting.
Yeah, it is where we're starting.
Yeah, good.
Well, do you think that, I mean, you know, your relationship to comedy is, to me, a really interesting one. You know, I don't think you've ever left it personally. I feel like it's in your music in just the right amounts. You know what I mean? Your appearances on SNL are
epic,
pretty show-stopping and phenomenal.
Thank you.
And then, of course, you know, you started not much later than 12, like doing these comedy shows. I mean, what did you think of comedy then? Was it your favorite thing? Was it related to you as a performer, or?
Yeah, I think, first of all, thank you. That's so nice. But I loved comedy first. I mean, I loved singing first and foremost. But I remember that comedy always gave me a different feeling than singing did. Singing, I think, takes itself so seriously. And I love laughing so much. Like there's something about making a person laugh that's like, we're comfortable, we trust each other, we're here. Like laughter is just the best thing in the entire world to me. So, yeah, I don't know. It was always something I loved a lot. And then I think when pop sort of took over for a while, I lost a little bit of like that light. And I kind of like, I missed it, I think subconsciously in a very big way. So yeah, I don't know, looking forward to kind of, I'm glad you said that you could hear it a tiny bit in the music, because I don't like to take things too seriously in some of my more like playful pop songs. I think it's a nice, you know, place to put some comedy sometimes. But yeah, thank you. I don't know. Yeah,
I know. I really hear it. Especially, I don't know if you remember this, the first time I DM'd you.
About this?
Well, yes, it was about this. But the way I shot my shot was, I said that Shut Up is one of the best like pop openers of an album of the last probably 10 or 20 years. I really love it. And it's so funny, but it's so well crafted.
Thank you.
And that to me, again, like that you could go on SNL as you do. Okay, so fine. So somebody can be funny, but that you, to me, I've always heard it in the music. So I think that's really cool. It's not easy to do. That blew my mind.
I couldn't believe that you had like heard my music, or I've been watching you forever.
I would have to live under a rock, which I nearly do, but I've still heard your music.
Well, thank you, but also to lead with that, like that's I was like, whoa, this is too much for me. Thank you, though.
Penn, also the interesting thing about him is that he's incapable of lying.
Yeah,
so
it's true.
If he's gonna write to you with something that he likes that you've done,
it's
sincere.
It was really hard for me to start doing ads at first in the podcast. I was like, I had to figure out how to get behind this ad. I remember one time when I didn't have the time, I took like an hour to record. And I won't say for which one. It's always but it took me an hour of time I did not have.
Yeah.
Anyway,
because you're like, what's my intention behind it? Where am I coming from in this ad?
It wasn't about acting. It was like, I'm saying something about this product that like I need to believe in some way. Yeah. Otherwise, like, can I say this?
His out is usually, and that's why Sophie loves. So
he's like, so Nava, what do you think about?
That's so funny.
We'll have to cut that out. But Ariana, I just want to say one thing. It'll take us out of the time period, but there's an SNL skit you did where I think it was like Tidal was having a power outage or something, and you had to do all the different singers.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of my favorite skits, and I watch it like honestly like 10 times a year, and I show it to anyone that I'm trying to impress. Like if I know we're gonna laugh together, you know, so if there's like a cute guy, I'm like, have you seen this skit?
Oh my God.
Yeah, and anyone that I want to think that I have good taste in like humor, and it always hits. People always love it. And a lot of people don't know you're that funny, so it's like unexpected.
Thank you.
But I just love it. It's so good.
Thank you. I was so bummed because some people thought that I was lip syncing in some of them.
Really?
Because you're
like,
that good.
That
you're like, no, that was Shakira.
I was like, I'm upset, but thank you. I was like, wow, I'm offended and thanks. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, thank you. That's fun. It was. I love doing SNL. It's so thrilling. It's so much fun, and there are so many things that get cut too that are so ticklish, and it's just fun to be in that building. It's so fast, and everyone's so creative and funny and brilliant. It's just It's fun.
Your recent one with Bo and Yang when you guys did the Moulin Rouge bit was
crazy,
hysterical.
The most fun I've ever had in my life. I almost didn't make it through any of it.
Yeah.
I love Bo and Yang so much. He's so brilliant. He's so beautiful and wicked. I can't wait for people to see.
Oh, he's in Wicked too.
We're gonna talk. We have a whole section.
Yes.
On
Okay. Sorry.
Okay,
But
we got to jump back.
Sorry.
Let's focus. We're in this room. We have
my other screen name is Bo and Yang fan. At 30, I don't know.
So let's go back to you growing up. Like, was your household? Because you're just. Even more now. It just feels to me like it's so clear you're a performer through and through. Was it a performing household? Where does it come from? What were your parents like?
Yes. So my parents are kind of polar opposite, but if you know me, it kind of makes sense knowing them and then how I came about. Because my mom is like business. She's also very creative and talented, but she does. She's the CEO of a company that designs and manufactures like telecommunication equipment, like PAs for like ferries and So it's very different. And my dad is sort of the more creative one. He does architectural design and photography and graphic design, and he paints, and so I'm kind of smack in the middle of the two of them. But my brother was in a lot of theater and in a lot of school shows growing up. He was on Broadway, and so it was a very theatrical household, even though the only two who have pursued it are Frankie and me. But my mom was always singing and doing karaoke nights, and my dad was always singing as well. And my grandpa loved to sing too. Every time we finished dinner, he would sing, "Good night, I hate to leave you now, but have a good time," at the end of every single dinner.
So sweet.
So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really charming.
Yeah, he was the best. Yeah.
Did any of them have anything like a voice like yours?
I think so, but I love them. I don't know. My grandpa had big belt, like he would sing along to Frank Sinatra with all his heart. And my mom has a beautiful voice. My dad loves to sing and has a beautiful voice.
He has a beautiful heart.
And he's a beautiful painter.
Heart.
No, my Aunt Mare is in a band as well. My Aunt Mare is a musician. My Uncle Craig, they have a band. That's on my dad's side. And my cousin Hallie's a singer. So lots of art, but my parents were not pursuing it.
Right.
Was that an answer? Was that anything? Was that
I don't
anything?
even remember my question. Did I ask a question?
You asked,
Sorry, I'm long-winded.
Well, that made me curious because you said Frankie was into performing. He was on Broadway. And I feel like if you have an older sibling who is really good at something or pursuing something, sometimes that makes a younger sibling shy away from it.
Oh my gosh,
it sounds like that.
No, my idol, He was, I looked up to him so much, and I still do. He's amazing. But he went to Muhlenberg, and I loved seeing him in his shows there. And even before then, he went to Pinecrest, and I would see him in those shows too. And I was always his biggest fan, and I was like, I want to do that.
That's so sweet. Yeah. You've talked a lot about your Nona. Your Nona is on your new album. And I'm curious, what was your relationship with her like when you were little? Like, how much of an influence did she have in your life?
Oh my gosh. I mean, my grandparents, my whole family has always been so supportive, but in the healthiest way, not pushy. Like, my mom wasn't a stage mom. She was the first person to like get me where I wanted to go. Like, if I was like, I would love to go to this audition, she would take me there and make sure I was prepared and support me. But she never told me that it was what I should be doing because she thought I was talented or because, she was like, are you sure? My family was very supportive, but very protective as well. But my grandparents, my Nona actually saw the ad in the newspaper to sing the national anthem at the Panthers game, and she took me for my audition. So Nona was
and
very
you were
supportive
like,
too.
were you 8 or 9 then?
I think I was 8, yeah.
Wow.
It was really
So that
fun.
was your first, was that your first audition and first performance?
I think that was my first public performance, yeah. I was 8. I don't know what I would have done before. Other than like playing the bumblebee in my school play, which I did. And I worked a nice little bit in there. I improv'd it. I didn't tell anyone I was going to do it. Got a big laugh. I was very proud.
That's brave at 8.
Yeah, I think I was just supposed to like fly by and exit. And before I did, I ripped the little stinger off of my costume and I stung the lead character and I flew off unprompted.
That's a really big
but I'm
improv.
Talking really young. That's improv and also like ruined a costume. That's bold. And I'm sorry. This is my public apology to the costume department.
Yeah, they've been waiting.
The preschool. Sorry.
You should know that I once sang the national anthem also at like a local, it was a AAA baseball game in Washington State.
Why haven't I seen this?
Well, it's not on record.
He paid someone to bury the footage.
No, this is not a lie. I forgot the words in the middle.
Oh my goodness. It's a tricky one.
Yeah, doesn't it feel like it can kind of like go in circles?
It can fake you out.
Wait, so what did you do, Penn? Did you hum?
No, so I really just, in the middle, I just forgot that word.
Which word?
I
Does
don't
it
remember
haunt
at
you
this
to
point.
this,
It
to this
doesn't.
day?
No, it doesn't at all.
He
Because
just doesn't even remember the word. There's an English word that never...
I'm facing like out into the sky and the mountains, and the whole crowd is behind me.
How old were you?
I was a bit older, so I was 13.
Oh no,
I was gonna
that's
say
fine.
It's quite embarrassing. And I just paused. It didn't freak me out actually, and then I just went. And then I hear the whole crowd chanting the word, but because it's a crowd, it's very hard to make out.
This is
It's not
actually
helpful.
And so then I
sweet.
actually said, "What?"
Best case scenario.
And then I finally heard it, and I go, "Oh, thanks." And then I just finished.
That's fabulous.
And then
I need to see.
both teams were so supportive. They were just like, "Yeah,
That's
slapping me
so
on the back," because
sweet.
they assumed that I was mortified. But I have to be honest, like.
No,
I
that's
wasn't
sick.
really.
That's really
I
sick.
wasn't really because I don't know. It just
I would have thrown up
amazing.
for sure.
Yeah.
Also, I'm sure everybody would have.
You definitely-
I definitely would have.
you definitely would have. The one person who was not supportive was the person who hired me for it. She was like,
Why?
"Well, I guess we could have been more
You're
prepared."
a kid.
Yeah, I mean, you should hire is
That
not the
is
word.
deeply
It was-
traumatic.
Yeah,
You can't say that to a 13-year-old.
yeah.
That's
Can a viewer please find this footage and
Please.
DM it to us?
Right,
That
There's
is-
going to be an
No, there-
uptick in Google searches.
there
Penn
would
Badgley
be.
anthem.
There's definitely
Truly.
there's definitely no footage. It's before phones. You know?
Oh man.
Oof.
Yeah.
Before he's trying to throw us off the
phones.
Yeah, before all it was
Before
before
there were no
telecommunication. Yeah.
The
Wait,
film camera hadn't been
So hold on.
invented yet.
I'm curious if you can recall. This is the genesis of you as a performer here. We're building a story.
Okay.
Do you recall either afterward feeling that I want more of this? Were you just like, like I'm wondering if you have any core memories there.
I think I didn't have much of a relationship to the song at the time. I think I was 8 and I was like, these are the words, I'll sing them.
Just perform it. Like you got
I
off a
loved
stage
it.
or the
I
ice
loved
or whatever.
it. I felt so happy and proud. And the funniest thing about that video to me is how I feel like I look exactly the same as I do in that video. Like that's exactly still everything.
I didn't even know there's a video.
There's a video. It's really funny because when I'm done, the way I whip my head and walk away is too crazy. It's a little too much. I liked it a little too much back then. It was really funny. I loved it. I had so much fun. I wanted to do it again.
Did you get hit by a puck?
I did. I got hit by 2 pucks. But I'm a big Panthers fan still.
Oh, wow.
Nothing can take me away.
Where did the puck hit you?
Once was the palm of my hand.
Because you were like this?
Yeah, because because my dad went to cover me and they went to, and I didn't know what was happening, so I went like this and it got me here.
Oh man.
And I don't remember what the other. I think it was the
probably to
same
the
thing
head.
twice. Yeah. Obviously, the other time, that's where my memory went.
That's wild. That can be so dangerous.
No, it was.
Yeah.
But they really. Oh my gosh, they put me on. They got me tons of ice, and they put me on the Zamboni, and I was like, I'm not hurt anymore. Again, I love this. No, I was like crying. I was crying and smiling at the same time.
You were already
I was like,
learning how to smile through the pain of the performance.
And boy, did I need to learn quickly.
Yeah.
I'm kidding, joking. That's
Well,
dark.
no.
But no, I was like, and then
Yeah.
dark. That was dark.
No,
Sorry.
I don't think it was dark at all. I mean, it reminds me of something you said on the video, which we'll talk about later. But
Oh my God, our video shoots?
yeah.
Oh my God, wait, what did I say?
You said that you had like I think you hurt your foot somehow.
Oh yes.
And we were just talking briefly about how you're constantly getting these. Not you, a performer is constantly just sort of getting hurt.
And like.
And you just got to go through it.
And like, it's just not a priority.
Yeah.
You're just, even like mid take,
Yeah.
I'm like, I cannot acknowledge this right now. And when we're done, I'll be like, hi, may I have a Band-Aid? My pinky's on the ground. Certain things just aren't as important when you're in a take or something.
No, exactly.
I don't know. And you're
I fractured a rib in the middle of a take.
Right.
And I was just like, finished until the end. And then afterward, I was like, I can't move.
Yeah.
That's wild.
And
That
the
is
sickest
wild.
part of me was like, oh God, I bet that was perfect on camera.
Yeah.
I'm like, I bet that was great for the scene.
Yeah.
Fucked.
So at 8 years old, you're singing the national anthem. You're like, I love this.
Yeah, I loved it.
What's sort of the next step? I know eventually you make it to Broadway, but what
And
kind
pretty
of happens
quickly.
in
I
between
mean, this is
those
the thing.
things?
With you, it was like so fast.
It was fast, but I'm thankful that it wasn't too fast because I was still home with my family for like those years that I was a teenager when I was on Broadway. I was already 13.
yeah.
So between then, I did a lot of like local family theater and community theater, and I was always on stage. I loved acting and I loved singing and being a part of any show that I could find. But then I went to audition with my best friend Aaron Simon Gross, who was at the Jim Carrey birthday
Yes.
party, for 13, the musical, and we got it together. Like he was, we both got it together.
It's
It
been
was
so fun.
yeah, so I got to do my first few jobs because then I met Liz Gillies, who's one of my best friends in the entire world, and then after 13 auditioned for Victorious, and she and I got that together. So I've always had
that's
support
amazing.
and friendship around me. But yeah, I didn't start too young. I feel like 13 is, even though working at a young age is like we
There's a
can
lot
talk
there,
for
yeah, sure.
75 hours. There's much to say, and we'll get
Yeah.
there, I'm sure. But it was nice to have a friend, and it was nice to have not been 7 or 8. What about wait?
Definitely.
You were young.
Yeah, I mean, I was about the same. So let's see. I first started doing community theater at like 8 and 9. And then I got my first like...
What was your first role?
Will and Grace, actually. I had like 5 lines on Will and Grace.
In community theater?
Oh, sorry. No, I thought you meant...
I meant in your ever.
Well, outside of school
Yeah.
was Winthrop and Music Man. You know Music Man?
A little. Enough.
You love musical theater.
I love musical
You
theater.
don't love
Do you
Music
love
Man.
music?
I don't. I'm not very
Yeah.
well acquainted
gonna
with
test
music.
It could be the
Not
reason
enough.
that I don't love musical theater because, I loved the experience, but I did not.
Maybe it wasn't the right show for you.
It wasn't. And then also my audition song was I Can Show You the World from Aladdin.
Fabulous.
Or A Whole New World is
Cool.
what it's called.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it starts with I Can Show You the World.
Yeah.
And oh my goodness, I think of that audition process and cringe. However, I discovered that if it's done at its best, when I saw Rent, I loved Rent.
Rent
I
is-
loved Rent. As as like a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
I could say, okay, when it's done well,
Yeah.
I do like a musical.
I have a core memory around Rent. My whole family was obsessed with musicals.
Yeah.
We would sing Wicked all the time. Rent.
Were you
I
a
was
Glinda
young.
or an Elphaba, may I ask?
Oh, Glinda.
Oh my God,
Obviously.
fun. You don't have to say that.
Popular is the best song.
Oh my gosh.
But no, but we would sing Rent all the time, and I had no idea what the songs were about. I was like 8 or 9, and my whole family went to go see it on Broadway, but you
Right.
weren't allowed to bring a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
So I had to go see the New York City Ballet, which I fell asleep in with my aunt while they were all at Rent. It was horrible.
Oh, Rent,
Yeah.
yes.
Wow,
Right,
that's devastating.
Yeah.
Nothing's crazier than loving Rent at a young age, and
Yeah.
being young and loving the songs,
Yeah.
and then growing up and being like, whoa, that's what we're about. Whoa, holy shit. One song glory. Whoa,
Yeah, honestly, all I knew about Rent was the South Park episode. It's like AIDS.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't realize how much of a specific kind of lampoon that was because I turned to my friend at the time who I was seeing it with after like 4 or 5 minutes, and I was like, Are they ever going to stop singing? And she looked at me like I was crazy. And she was like, no,
of course not.
And then I, for the next 15 minutes, I was like, what have I done? What have I done? What have I done? But then, it won't make
Yeah. I don't want to delay us, but I have a crazy Rent tie-in story.
don't.
Tell us.
I was in a group called Kids Who Care when I was really young with Aaron and all my friends, and we would sing for like different charity events, or sometimes we would even go to old age homes and perform for the elderly. And one of the songs on our set list, because we loved to sing it, and sometimes like when we would do shows, we would do what you own, which says, "You're dying in America." And then one time we didn't think, and we had a bunch of gigs in a row. We didn't think about it. Yeah. And we were just at this old age home, and we were like, we got to the final chorus, and we were like, "You're dying in America at the end of the millennium." And we were like, and then,
but you know what? Did they appreciate it?
They couldn't hear us. It was great. It was great. They couldn't hear anything. They were like, "Oh, they're so cute," and no one heard anything, and it was fabulous.
See, in my brain, they were like, finally some hard hitting, something where they can really give it to us.
Finally, someone honest around here telling the truth.
Yeah.
No.
At the end of the millennium.
Right.
We were like,
you got 5 years.
Yeah, but like we didn't think about it at all. And that final chorus approach.
So good.
If you know me, you would actually know that I love dogs. If you only listen casually, you might think that I don't. And Nava loves to joke that I hate dogs. This is not true. The thing about me is that I want them to live a truly good life. Like I'm talking, I want them to live the way they were meant to live. Part of this, I have a husky. He's incredibly picky about what he wants to eat. Incredibly picky. Sometimes he will not eat for 2 days when he's got perfectly good stuff that the little one loves. I've come to learn that most foods in the pet aisle suffer from all of the same problems. They're ultra processed, they're low in protein, they are high in carbs, and they're full of artificial stuff that no species needs to thrive. The good news is that Maeve is radically different. Dogs are biologically primed to digest and absorb key nutrients from an unprocessed, low-carb, high-protein, raw meat diet. This is how they became dogs, right? And Maeve's raw food diet is formulated to meet their needs, to meet your dog's needs. Fancy that. And get this, most dog parents see results in 28 days or less with Maeve. Maeve is the first and only human-grade raw food for dogs, made with real ingredients you can name just by looking. USDA beef, chicken breast, kale, zucchini, green beans, and even blueberries. No fillers, no preservatives, nothing artificial. What you see is what you get. Make the switch to raw today. Right now, Maeve is offering 20% off your first order at meetmaeve.com/podcrushed. That's spelled MAEV. Go to meetmaeve.com/podcrushed to receive 20% off your first order. That's meetmaev.com/podcrushed. If you're anything like me, my condolences, because it's a little bit hard up here. But what it does mean is that you care about where your food comes from, especially when it comes to quality cuts of meat. So that's why I want to talk a little bit about ButcherBox. They deliver 100% grass-fed beef, free-range organic chicken, pork-raised, crate-free, and wild-caught seafood right to your doorstep. So with ButcherBox, you're not getting just convenience. You're getting guaranteed quality. You can imagine the best cuts of meat chosen by experts, delivered frozen at peak freshness. Frozen at peak freshness. Actually, I've been cooking with ButcherBox for last few weeks now with chicken, and I got to tell you, it's like night and day. The cuts are really flavorful and tender. The thighs and the chicken are just so I've been adding them to every box I get. Plus, ButcherBox offers free shipping on all orders and exclusive member deals. They also include these great recipes with every box, perfectly curated to complement the cuts you've selected. Sign up for ButcherBox today by going to butcherbox.com/podcrushed and use code PODCRUSHED at checkout and enjoy your choice of bone-in chicken thighs, top sirloins, or salmon in every box for an entire year, plus get $20 off. Again, that's butcherbox.com/podcrushed and use code PODCRUSHED.
When you were on Broadway, you were in middle school, which is like right in the pocket of our show. So you weren't going to traditional school at the time.
No, I was tutored. We all had like a tutoring classroom, and
That's like just when you were on set, or what would you say, when you were at the theater? But then were you going to school in like other times?
Yeah, I mean, because I wasn't sure if the show was going to take me out of North Broward Preparatory School in Coconut Creek forever.
Coconut Creek?
Yeah,
really?
in Coconut Creek, Florida.
Cute.
Yeah, it's so Floridian.
So wait, a prep
Coconut
school
Creek.
is that very academic? Was it a very academic path you were on?
No, I was there. I mean, I was there. I think I kind of knew what I wanted to do, and I was a good student. I think I was a good student. But yeah, I was there, and then I left to do the show, and we had tutors. So some of the kids were still in school like I was, and we would just be doing our classes remotely. And then I did Victorious, and I had to finish the way that kid actors finish. And I don't even remember what it's called.
Yeah, is it the proficiency?
Yeah, what is the test?
The GED.
Yeah, no.
Well,
There's
there is that, but
but no, there's
in California,
so that you can work more hours.
It's every state has a different one.
Yeah,
every
so
state. So in California, it's called the CHESP, California High School.
Yes, the CHESP. That's what I meant.
Right.
And then I was able to work like I was 30 at 15.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I did the same thing.
Literally,
did the same thing.
It's
So what was your experience around crushes at the time? Like your first loves, first heartbreaks?
Oh God, I mean, my mom was really strict, so I didn't.
Which means your crushes were even bigger and deeper.
How do you think I ended up where I am? I think my mom was very protective, and protective is the better word, but somewhat strict, very protective. And I didn't have a lot of crushes that I was allowed to explore when I was super young. But I had them, and they were there, but I didn't I had my first kiss secretly in the hallway one time. And I was
at a real school? At your real school?
At North Broward,
right,
in Coconut Creek. I was quick, and I was oh, this is bad. I'm going to get in trouble, and I need to leave. And I ran away, and I don't think I ever talked to him again. But yeah,
he's still crying. He's still mourning that.
It was after school and before going to the school store, because there was a school store, and that's what people did. And I wanted to be cool, and I wanted to go to the school store.
Yeah.
Wow. But it was always a very I didn't want to run home and be I had my first kiss. I was very nervous and scared. Yeah.
We'll cut this because I've told this story before, but I think you'll find it cute. My first kiss was in a spin the bottle game, sort of something like that. And my parents were very strict. And then it was at a kid's birthday party, whatever. And I went to every kid at the party crying, please don't tell my mom. They were all why would we tell her? I was please don't tell my mom. And then
you have to leave this in because I feel seen and understood.
And then as soon as I got home, just opened the door. Mom was hi, Nava. And I started crying. And I was I kissed that in.
Oh, my God.
Okay. That's just no reaction.
Yeah. This is actually this was my first kiss as a person that I can remember being. Because when I was in preschool, I kissed a lot of boys.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Right. I think something there's something extreme that happens to me. When I was young, I kissed a lot of boys and I was very fearless. And then I was very nervous and I kissed one boy and then never again. Until I was 18.
Yeah. Wow. That's
or no. 16. That's not true at all.
It's okay. Don't worry.
Guys, I don't think I've ever thought about my life. Guys, I don't know what happened to me in my life at all, who I am.
It's because you were performing. I've been through it too. It's the same for all of us.
Wait, why don't hit you in the I know, it's because of the puck. It's because of professional. I don't remember anything. Guys, wait, I was 14.
Yeah, fair. No, you know what it is? Every year at that age is so long.
I don't remember the chess P. I don't remember graduating. I don't remember anything.
It's only I mean, honestly, I feel like at that age, every year is just phenomenally long. It's its own timeline. The difference between 13 and 14 to a 13 and 14-year-old is massive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I've been thinking about this recently. You need external markers of time, whether it's, middle school, was 6th grade to 8th grade. And so it happened at some point during those years. Or if somebody moved house, then that's marker of time.
Yeah, I have nothing.
Yeah, because you're. So I actually have this too.
In between the puck, and the day. Sorry, go on. What?
But I honestly, after leaving school formally at 12 years old, a lot of it blends together for me as well. So I feel you.
Yeah, strange. We're finding it today.
I'm curious how you whether you thought of yourself as an artist then or not, how were you seeing the world? What do you think your greatest aspiration was at that time?
To sing.
Okay.
I just wanted to sing. I really loved it.
And what about, like, was acting connected? You know, because you were in musical theater then. Did you always want to just sing, or at that time were they really wed together?
Well, they were wed together because I wanted to be on Broadway. That was my first and only goal. I was like, I want to be on Broadway. I want to be in musicals. And I also love making music. That was the other thing that I loved doing. I would love to, like, go home and play on GarageBand, and like I had like a looping machine that I would play with because Imogen Heap is my idol and my forever all-time #1 inspiration. And I saw her use one on stage. So for Christmas, my mom surprised me with one, and I don't think it was like the same thing. It was, I think, actually mine's used for the guitars or something at the time, but I don't know. But I would like play and loop my own vocals and just kind of like I loved it so much. So I knew I wanted to pursue the arts in any forms. I loved writing songs. I think I wrote my first song when I was like 12, and I loved it. So I just loved it. I just wanted to create.
Do you remember what that song was about?
Let It Rain.
Oh, that's a great title.
Thank you so much. I thought I was like Mary J. Blige or something. I thought I was like Natasha Bedingfield. I thought it was very of that era. Yeah.
Oh,
Let what rain?
It. All of it.
it, baby.
I'm open, just all of it. And like, why are you writing that at like 12? What are you talking about?
I wrote a song at 14, I think, called "Stay With Me," which is like "Stay with me tonight." Like, come on, we're all just regurgitating what we hear.
That's beautiful. Do you have it?
It's
still?
actually we actually have. We can send you a clip of Evan Rachel Wood singing it because she knew it.
So we were friends at that point, and I, it's funny you're talking about a looping machine. I really wanted one. I had a 4-track, but I love to stack harmonies. I just loved harmonies. It's, again, I could teach you a little bit about it.
You should sing. I would like "Stay With Me Tonight." Isn't that it?
Can you give us a few?
Give us one.
No, I'm not. No, see, that was not the lyric. See, Evan, no.
Why does everyone know it except me?
Everyone is just these two. I don't remember what it was, but it was not. We could go out walking without talking. That was too rhymey. And I would not, I remember that there was a clarification. It had something repeating. Anyway.
This is such an abrupt pivot, but we have a question we ask every guest, which is to tell us an embarrassing story from that sort of early adolescent period, if anything comes to mind.
Oh, God. I don't know, and this sounds like so stupid, but I feel like I'm not like easily embarrassed. I just feel like I'm like, I'll make like a terrible joke and carry on, and I don't know. But I don't know. Something embarrassing about that. I had really bad OCD.
Really?
Is that embarrassing? That's just sad. That's
that's
just bad. That's just bad.
What do you mean?
Like obsessive, like counting, or like certain ritual, like certain had to be in the shower for a certain amount of times, singing through Defying Gravity 3 times in the shower. That's how I knew I had a long enough shower.
What's the song?
Defying Gravity. I'm not kidding.
From Wicked.
When I was really young, from Wicked.
Right.
Literally, though, when I was like...
Wow.
Can we remove Ben from the set?
We're
going to open the door.
I could go have some more jerk chicken if...
The song
It's a show called Wicked.
I've never heard of it. Sorry.
No, things like that. I feel like that's embarrassing. That's
embarrassing.
No, I was just thinking when you said I don't get embarrassed, and then Penn was talking about that, singing the anthem and forgetting the words and not feeling embarrassed. I feel like that's something.
You think there's something wrong with us,
No.
Makes us.
I feel like that's probably part of the genesis of becoming a performer. Like you have to kind of have the kids who don't have that.
I definitely
kids who get
embarrassed
embarrassed quickly and easily are not going to go on stage. They're not going to develop the practice.
Okay, I agree with you on one hand because it's like doing it in front of people. Okay, fine. But I was very, very easily embarrassed by very, very little things. And I want to recall that you kissed a boy.
Internally. Internally embarrassed.
Well, that's
and
what I'm saying.
shy.
So what we do, I think, in this show, every now and then, I guess we'll have like some kind of really prototypical, like, it was a very embarrassing moment and they all laughed at me and it's very funny and all of that. But I think, the essence of the question is I don't know, it's like that soft center that everybody has.
Yeah.
That everybody has, that can become sort of like horrified at being seen. Maybe it's just being seen, or I don't know. You're being seen in a way that doesn't feel like it's fair.
Right.
You know?
Well, I think embarrassed and like saddened by opinion are two different things, I think.
That's fair, yeah.
Because I think it's like, that's of course a massive piece of it, but it's like, when I was young, I like could easily laugh at myself, if that makes sense.
That's nice.
But all of it inside was all, you know.
Yeah.
That's why you become, I think, outward, do anything for the laugh, and I guess sort of brave in that way. Because inside you're like, hey, what? I suppose.
Yeah.
Shy.
How many times would you sing Define Gravity in the shower?
In the shower by myself, I would have to hear it 3 times to know that I had been in there long enough. But that was like that kind of OCD.
Right.
It was like numbers and like certain routine things.
Cleanliness and stuff.
Cleanliness, definitely. I would use so much total germaphobe, monopathophobia. Like my hands would be cracking with because I had used so much hand sanitizer, and I'd be such a germaphobe.
Did this? How did COVID impact you then?
I was okay. I just was mindful of precautions that normal, but I'm so much older now. But when I was little, it was like the scariest thing in the world to me.
When did it subside then? Like it's interesting that it was younger and then not older.
Weird, because I talk to my therapist about this a lot. It goes away when I'm creating and when I'm busy with work. Like when I have a job, it went away when I started working a lot. And when I started doing like finding community in theater and finding people and finding casts and distractions and kind of a place to like put my feelings and like use my feelings. And then when I'm kind of like in an off season or like in between projects, I'm like, is that thing scary again? I'm like, am I like, is that thing coming back? I don't know. But I think like when art is in the forefront of my life, I don't have time to think about anything else. Everything really subsides when, But that was when I was young, and I was I think I was so brave then, and now I'm like so soft and so like I'm like a little, but we're finding the balance now. But
it seems like
it took a big circle,
Yeah. It sounds to me like something of your new record is a return to
tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. It definitely feels like a certain coming home to myself has taken place over the last like 2.5 years or something. But but people say that's what happens when you turn 30. I think it's just something we all kind of get.
Late 20s, 30.
Yeah, late 20s, 30. It's like you get there. You come home a little bit.
You talk about the return of Saturn. And I mean, you have this Saturn interlude. And in preparing for this, I decided to I wanted to learn a little bit about Saturn. Here's a really interesting thing that will possibly lead you into a valuable reflection or not. We shall see.
We shall see.
So the way Saturn got its rings, it was a giant moon, frozen moon, and it passed. Saturn has this thing called the Roche point, which is where. But so here's the thing. So its gravity is so intense. I'm gonna pull you through. Just wait. Just you wait. But the Roche point is different for every object that hits it, right? So
sure, yeah.
The Roche point is. Listen to this.
Is this what all your interviews are like?
If you want to know about Saturn,
no, I love it.
If you want to know about Saturn,
let's hear.
At this point, at the Roche point, the front of the object, the gravity is so intense that pulls it apart from the back. So Saturn. You guys don't see how this is relevant?
No, this is fabulous.
It's like once you got to that part, I forgot the first part. So
the rings. This is how the rings.
This is how Saturn got its rings.
Oh, okay.
But the point is,
finish it. Tell us. So
the point is,
the Roche point and
so any object that interacts with Saturn, okay, has its own Roche point where its gravity is so much lesser than Saturn's that the front of it starts to rip apart from the back of it.
Wow.
My
So
God.
if you were to hit the Roche point, the front of you would rip off.
Wow. It's all about Saturn, actually.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So
it's a collection of others of what's once been.
So, well, it's this one, actually, it's not many other things. It's just one moon. And this moon, so there's like an analogy from, we're Baha'is, and so there's this body of writings called the Baha'i writings. We can talk about that later off tape if you want.
Or on tape.
Or on tape.
Lemonada would love that.
Yeah, right. You can compare a moon to a system of belief. So what happened to Saturn's moon was that it was ripped apart by its own gravity. And
isn't that poetic?
And I was thinking that if there's any validity to this idea of Saturn returns, is that a belief system of your own is being torn apart, but then it's being reorganized rather than a single point. It surrounds you entirely in totally new fashion and form.
That's stunning.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
You landed it.
I did land it.
The
Well
plane.
done.
I landed
You
it.
landed the plane.
That was absolutely gorgeous.
And I was, and so I can't,
really was.
having gone through late 20s and 30 myself, I just feel like you've turned this period into a piece of art. You've actually, I hadn't even done it. You've made the rings. You took the thing, you know, you've decorated yourself with this beautiful new gem, which is eternal sunshine, right?
Well, thank
That's what I'm saying.
That is so beautiful.
That's what you should say.
That's so
Use that for your
Yeah,
next.
thank you. I'm
Can we
gonna
actually
say that now.
just roll it back and you say all of that? That would,
That's such a beautiful. Yeah.
because it really does feel to me like, you know, spending a lot of time with your catalog these last days, seeing some videos and stuff, and the way you've spoken about it, you know, it makes me think that there's one moment, I think, in a Vogue interview where you spoke about beauty as a tool. I think we all do it. I know we all do it, especially if we're in the public eye, using beauty to hide.
Yeah, that was so beautiful.
Yeah, really, really poignant.
I think it's just an interesting shift that happens naturally for people, hopefully sooner rather than later, where it's like, oh, maybe it doesn't need to be so, you know, I suppose for me, I felt like I just wanted to kind of come home in that way. I don't know. I felt like everything about literally talking about style and aesthetic was just heavy and like a lot. And, you know, a lot of my fans still love that style. And I think it's beautiful too from like afar. But I think it's just like I didn't realize at the time that it was like more was more because I wanted to be me less and less and like to give myself to people less and less. So it was just kind of like a weird way of like building a character more and more and more.
Yeah.
So that, I don't know, you know, and then it was finally like, oh, there's a little voice in there. We're gonna, you know, and then it just kind of found its way, come back around. But I don't, it's funny how that can even show itself in something as little as like your makeup or your style or your clothes or your I don't know. It's interesting. It's weird.
No, that's totally true.
It's so strange that has to be out there forever. All of it, you know what I mean?
That is
I
something,
feel
yeah.
that is the weirdest
weird.
part about choosing this with our lives is that like normal people, every person with a job that isn't this changes and
It's true.
evolves and learns and has the ability to do that and be like, oh shit. I'm
And
gonna
not
change
everyone
that.
gets to weigh
yes.
in.
And like,
Yeah.
you don't even have to think about it I mean,
Yeah.
you do, but you know, you don't have to look at it and be reminded of it it's a whoa, like shock,
Yeah.
blind. It's just, it's an interesting thing that I like kind of do a lot of work on processing so that it doesn't scare me away from continuing.
No, I think that's really
true.
it's difficult. I
It's
mean, you
strange.
know, it's difficult. I think it's funny to me that a comment section of anything is literally the manifestation of your own personal fears.
Oh my God.
In other people. It's like, wow, that thing that I thought that maybe was just an insecurity that had no
Wow.
place.
Yeah.
That
I'm
person's
right about
saying
it.
exactly that.
Yeah.
So actually, I was right about all the things that make me small and stupid and dumb and
Yeah.
worthless.
And
Terrible.
it's like, yeah. And it's strange because it's like, sometimes you think it might be okay. And then if you look, you will find it. The
Oh,
sick
yeah.
part of
Oh,
your,
definitely.
you know, it's like, it's just strange. It's strange. It's just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Ariana, I heard you say in a different conversation that sometimes like you try to change something that actually people have criticized that you feel is valid, and you change it, and then they criticize you for that.
Yes, it's strange.
And I was like really thinking about that. Like, yeah, that's true. You're in such a catch-22. Like, no matter what you do, people are angry at you. Yeah. Why didn't you do it sooner? It's not authentic that you're doing it now. It's in response to, it's like, people want you to stay trapped in like one very specific version of yourself. And that's like a prison, you know?
It is very interesting. I think when that started to happen, I kind of started to work with my therapist very closely on making peace with the fact that, like, okay, maybe I'm searching too hard for this, like, or for people to get me, like the Ariana that is me. And I think I just kind of need to realize that this is something that comes with making art for a living and with being in the public eye. And this is something that I have to make peace with and become healthy about, so that I can continue to make art and to tell stories and to be an artist, because I love it more than anything in the world. I love singing. I love writing. I love acting. I want to do it. I love my fans. It's like, it's such a tricky thing mentally to process, especially when I started in this way, at this level. I was like, 19 or 20 when my music career started to become what it is. And it just was so far ahead of my development as a person. And I think I struggled for a long time when I was young, making peace with what this beautiful thing, music, had done to my life.
Yeah.
And I think it's still something I work really hard on being healthy, having a healthy relationship to, is this.
Of course.
Yeah, and I'm thankful because I feel like before Eternal Sunshine, I was not happy to be doing it. I was not happy about it. And I'm very happy about it. I love it. I've loved every step of this album cycle so far, and of Wicked, and of the lead up to Wicked, and the audition process. It's like feeding. I'm sorry, this is so long-winded and
we love it. We love it. Ariana.
It's so much. I'm sorry, but it was just like a very informative and nutritious process, and I think it brought me home to everything I love and helped me reprioritize. That my relationship to those voices, to art, to everything, and it's funny.
This episode is brought to you by Philo. I know it's not just me. TV has gotten really complicated. I'm either endlessly searching for my favorite shows, or I subscribe to probably over a dozen different streaming services now to make sure that I can watch everything I want to watch, my kids want to watch, the wife wants to watch. You don't even save that much money anymore. In fact, I think I spend more money than I did on cable. I'm not sure if it's the same for you, but thankfully Philo has changed all that for me. One service, all the stuff I need. Philo's got current seasons of the shows I can't miss live on networks like A&E, MTV, Discovery, and TLC. It has classics like The Office, Martin, and Friends, which I never get sick of, and all of the incredible originals on AMC Plus, from Mad Men to Orphan Black. Don't forget the library of more than 75,000 movies and shows, all of which I can save and rewatch anytime for a whole year. With Philo, you can never miss a minute of shows like Friends, Catfish, Paw Patrol for the kids. And Philo has amazing features like unlimited DVR for 1 year. And it also allows for multiple profiles and multiple streams. Best of all, with Philo, you get all of this for just $28 a month. No contracts, no hassles, just one subscription and a world of entertainment. So go to philo.tv/podcrushed and check it out for a free 7-day trial. That's philo.tv/podcrushed to start watching.
So I first gave AG1 a try because I wanted to find a way to support my digestion. Since drinking AG1 daily, I felt such a real difference in my daily health and energy levels. That's because AG1 is a foundational nutrition supplement that supports your body's universal needs, like gut optimization, stress management, and immune support. Since 2010, AG1 has led the future of foundational nutrition, continuously refining their formula to create a smarter, better way to elevate your baseline health. Not only did I replace my multivitamin with AG1, but I love that every scoop also includes prebiotics, probiotics, and digestive enzymes for gut support. I recommend AG1 to all my family and friends because of their incredible team of doctors and scientists who have done the work to make a formula that can really support our overall health. Even my cousins have started drinking AG1, and they always tell me how much more energetic they feel. AG1 actually came into my life at a time when I was on a work trip with none other than my co-host Penn Badgley, and we were staying at a home with, I have to say it, a lot of sick children. And Penn had smartly traveled with his travel packets of AG1. I hadn't. And he very generously gave them to me. And since then, I've been a convert. If there's one product that I had to recommend to elevate your health, it's AG1. And that's why I'm excited to welcome them as a new partner. If you want to take ownership of your health, it starts with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase at drinkag1.com/podcrushed. That's drinkag1.com/podcrushed. Check it out.
You said something earlier that I really didn't know, and I want to, maybe I misheard, I'm not sure, but did you say that you created Victorious, or that you were in conversation with the creator of that before?
No, auditioned for.
Okay.
Victorious with Liz Gillies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were on no, did I say green?
No. I was just trying to
Audition.
understand.
He was thinking about the Roche Point.
The Roche Point.
I was already on Saturn's rings.
Yeah.
And I was just like, right.
No.
No.
Showrunner.
No, but I guess because I had
auditioned with Liz, who was in 13
okay,
with me.
That's
so
what it was.
Yeah,
That's what it was.
We like flew to LA together, all green and nervous and wondering what the chances were. And we both got cast. So I was lucky to have my first 2 jobs be with my 2 best friends. Like my first one was Aaron and my second one was with Liz. And that was very lucky.
So you were talking before about the kind of community that that being on in a stage production or a TV show provides. I mean, that was for me, I think the thing that actually drew me to it more than anything. For you, it sounds like there was also a really, really clear, strong, I want to sing. Music is the future for you. Music is the path. But I guess I'm curious, what was that like? Because again, this is, how old were you? 14?
I was 14, and I flew out to audition with Liz Gillies for Victorious, and we were all very excited. And we got cast, and it was the best news we could hear. I mean, we were young performers who just wanted to do this with our lives more than anything. And and we got to, and that was like so beautiful. I think we had some very special memories, and we feel so privileged to have been able to create those roles and be a part of something that was so special for a lot of young kids. I think we're reprocessing our relationship to it a little bit now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, completely.
What are your thoughts on child acting? Like, we've had different child actors on the show who feel differently. Some who are like, I would never let my kids. I don't think anyone should. And others who are open to it as long as there's like certain conditions on set.
Obviously, my relationship to it has and is currently and has been changing, and I'm reprocessing a lot of what the experience was like. I think that the environment needs to be made safer if kids are going to be acting. And I think there should be therapists. I think there should be parents allowed to be wherever they want to be. And I think not only on kids' sets, I think if anyone wants to do this or music or anything at the level of exposure that it means to be on TV or to do music with a major label or whatever, there should be in the contract something about therapy is mandatory twice a week or thrice a week or something like that. And I was actually talking to Max Martin about this the other day, because he was always such an amazing person to talk to about the stressful parts of what I was experiencing. Yeah. And he was just amazing. But a lot of people don't have the support that they need to get through performing at that level at such a young age, but also dealing with some of the things that the survivors who've come forward and there's not a word for how devastating that is to hear about. And so I think the environment just needs to be made a lot safer all around. And like I said, I'm still in real time processing my relationship to it. But the beautiful thing about it was that Liz and I got to fall in love with these characters that we created and learn what it feels like to be so in a character that you can't, separate yourself from it. And there were things like that. But the rest of it is still being worked on.
Definitely. I mean, I think it's not just in Hollywood, and it's not just on like certain sets. It's undoubtedly true that anybody who's going to be a really professional, competent, experienced, technically like veteran performer by the time you're in your like 20s, you have to have been doing it for a long time. And I don't think there's anybody who's gotten there who hasn't experienced, all these degrees of what you should and could call exploitation. But as you're going through it, it's not just that one thing. There's a million layers to it.
Right.
And you can find, and as a person who then depends to some degree, not depends is not the right word, because I'm saying this for myself as well. Like, the greatest burden and the greatest gift of my life is being a like high level professional performer. You know what I mean? Like, I have some of the most spiritual moments of understanding and insight and mercy and compassion when I'm in the middle of it. And I wouldn't be able to do that if I hadn't been doing it for so long. You know what I mean? And so it's like it takes and it gives. There's a lot to it, and I think the way that, as you said, I mean, devastating is a great word to describe the things that are coming to light now, and it doesn't mean that it was all. It's just like across the board a negative experience for everybody who's doing it. And I think that's a really complicated and strange.
It changes it a lot.
Yeah.
It changes it a lot. And that's what I think I'm reprocessing.
Yeah. Me too, by the way. Like I wasn't around. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot. Yeah. There's a lot there.
I'm sorry. It's really tricky because also you and I, if I've gathered anything from our time together and from today and from this, from just knowing you, it's we're so professional. So I think it's kind of like in any work environment. I'm glad that this conversation is happening here and also in the world, because it's also just kind of a cultural shift that's happening where it's not just actors and singers and whatever. If you ask anyone who's ever worked ever, if they've ever been sort of like, dealt with a boss that had a really bad ego and temper and whatever, or if they've been sexually harassed or even assaulted, or it's everywhere.
It is everywhere.
It's like
statistically, it's prevalent. I think
it's prevalent.
We point the finger a lot and fail to often remember, like, this behavior is prevalent. It's a
we're
norm.
used to. We're told it's normal.
Yeah.
And it's changing. And I think that's a really nice place to see the world in unison, standing in a place where we're like, that's changing.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable. So I think yes.
Sure. One of my favorite quotes. Sophie and Penn will agree with this. I have like a fire and brimstone personality too. Like, I'm like, let the punish.
What's the other part?
Only exclusively. But I'm like, I want people to be like punished. So anyway, this quote is very fire and brimstone, but I love it. But there's a quote that says, "Children are a trust which no community can neglect with impunity." And I think about that a lot. Like, what does that mean? Like, who's harmed when you neglect children? The children, but also the community, the adults that don't show appropriate behavior towards children. And I feel like what's worse in the film industry maybe, or more amplified, is like a spirit of adult behavior towards children. What I've gathered from interviewing a lot of our guests who started as children is that there's like two phenomena that are common. One is like infantilizing people, treating people who aren't children like children. and then treating children like adults, expecting adult behavior
Right.
from them, or acting in ways, or like letting children be exposed to things that like they're not developmentally ready for.
No.
Yeah.
That's
really,
It's really well
upsetting.
put.
Yeah. And there's also a strange pattern that occurs where it's really taken advantage of how much it means to the young performer to get a laugh from Video Village.
Yeah.
You're like, oh shit, like I'm doing something great. Like this is funny. This is good. And
By the way, Video Village, we should say, is where all of the producers and the director are watching the monitors of like what's being captured on camera.
Yeah. So it's interesting because I think that was, speaking specifically about our show, I think that was something that we were convinced was like the cool thing about us, is that like we pushed the envelope with our humor, and the innuendos were like, we were told and convinced as well that it was like the cool differentiation. And I don't know, I think it just all happened so quickly. And now looking back on some of the clips, I'm like, that's... Damn, like really?
Yeah.
And the
shit!
craziest,
like if my daughter, you know, sorry to,
No.
you know, I just you think about it. It's like if I had a daughter, it's like, and
the craziest part of that is like how many people have to approve it. Like when you start working in
so
television,
many adults,
How many adults?
so many
45
adults.
adults at least.
So
So
many
many
adults
adults.
approved that. So it's like there's no spirit of responsibility towards children.
Right.
There's a spirit of like a bottom line, a
There
financial
is a bottom line.
You know,
There's a bottom line, and then the things that weren't approved for the network were snuck onto like our website or whatever it was, and that is another discovery. But going into it, I guess I'm upset. But you know, towards the end, my mom was allowed to come to set when I was like, you know, a little.
She wasn't allowed to come to set?
When we were younger, they were allowed to come to run through sometimes, or like things like that, like occasionally, I think. But yeah, towards the end, she was there like a little more, and we've been talking a lot about this recently, and she's been like sort of.
My mom and I have too, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, because it's like.
It's awakening.
Yeah, you have to start to process like, okay, so now knowing what we all know, neither would I want my children to be in an environment like that, nor does my mother in retrospect think that I should have been in an environment like that. So, you know, then how do we kind of reconcile around that as you know, for the sake of our relationship?
Yeah. And how do you also like put it to use? How do we put it to use? How do we, how is there an end to things like this? I was actually talking about this with Max, who I said earlier, because I think that in my contract as a Republic Records artist, I want to see them add moving forward. I need to call Monty Libin about this. Monty, I have an idea. No, but I think it should be provided that if you're going to be doing this on this scale and your life is going to turn into something that you know it is, if you do it, if it goes well, and if you get to do it and you get to be on the stage at the Grammys, and you know your dreams are coming true, there should be an element that is mandatory of therapy, of a professional person to unpack what this experience of your life changing so drastically does to you at a young age, at any age. It's just really... gets you for a second.
Ariana, I want to say completely sincerely that meeting you now, I mean, you're just so lovely and kind and sweet. But even from afar, I just feel, and Penn, I've like had conversations with Penn about this, completely sincere. You're so strong. Like you've gone through some incredible things. And I just feel like grace has to be one of your lead attributes as a person. Like you seem to handle things with grace. Yeah.
That's nice. Thank you. You got me. Thank you. That's nice.
It's true. Yeah.
Thank you. I think everyone in this room is very strong.
Thank
you. And yeah.
You don't know them.
He's like, nah.
You don't really know them.
I was only talking about. No, I'm kidding. No, but thank you. My therapist is doing great. That was actually, can I just a quick detour?
Yeah.
Speaking of the funniest things that have happened in the like world that is so many degrees removed from what we are actually doing in real life. one of the funniest stories when I was becoming whatever I became was that my therapist couldn't even work with me anymore. I think it was, of course it was, but they said that my therapist couldn't even work with me anymore. I've been with that therapist for 15 years.
Wow.
You should be ashamed of yourselves.
Yeah. No, we literally send it to each other from time to time as like a joke.
Yeah, right,
I'm like
right, right.
still going strong.